Welcome to Technovation. I'm your host, Peter High. My guest today is Tony Thomas. Tony is the Chief Digital and Information Officer of Signify, the world leader in lighting for professionals and consumers and lighting for the Internet of Things that earns roughly 8 billion euros annually. Tony has been in role for about 2 years and has led a remarkable transformation that includes rethinking customer experience digitally. Tony has been a CIO in India, the US, Japan, and now the Netherlands across companies like Vodafone, GE, and Nissan prior to his current post at Signify. And I look forward to hearing more about that journey as well. Tony Thomas, welcome to Technovation. It's great to see you today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's a great pleasure. Well, Tony, you are the Chief Digital and Information Officer of Signify. And I wondered for those people who may be less familiar with the business, if you could provide a bit of an overview to it.
Sure. Signify used to be known as Philips Lighting. We are the world's #1 in conventional lighting, LED, and connected lighting. We offer quite a few global brands as well under the umbrella of Signify. We are a little less than an 8 billion euro company, about 35,000 employees, and we operate across 70 countries. Our core DNA is of innovation, which of course, as you know, comes from the Philips legacy as well, but then also sustainability and digital. We are 100% carbon neutral as a company as we speak. We have quite a few wide range of products and services. Like I said, of course, you would expect the lighting systems, but a lot of software and platforms associated with that, and then many different types of connected devices. And we have quite a few solutions that meets the needs of consumers, professional customers, governments, etc. This is my almost completing 2 years in the company, and I'm quite proud to be part of this innovation legacy and be part of a company that is constantly leading in the market that we are in and trying to be better than yesterday, every day.
Wonderful. A great overview, Tony. And talk a bit about your role as Chief Digital Information Officer and the two parts of that set of responsibilities, if you would.
Sure. So as the CDIO of Signify, of course, I'm responsible for the traditional IT, technology, and strategies and operations, but also for ensuring that we are driving the digital ambition of the company forward. As you know, the world is changing very fast, and we believe that there are 3 major trends globally that would affect our company. One is the transformation and the innovation that is happening in our industry, the macroeconomic situation across the globe, and then increasing digitalization that is really going on. Signify have what we call our 5 frontier strategy that is designed to guide us and focus our thinking and actions to capture the opportunities and evolve as we go forward. So the first of that is building a customer-centric organization. Second is about delivering differentiated lighting products for all our customers. Third is driving growth for sustainability. Fourth is digitalize and transform Signify and be a great place to work. Now you can see that although digital is one of those strategies, direct strategies, but the rest of the 4 also requires quite a bit of capabilities from digital to be fulfilling. So in that sense, digitalization is at the core of Signify. And across the global teams that we have, like I said, we are responsible for building new systems. We are responsible for maintaining them and then creating net new innovative solutions, removing the old ones that we have.
Again, a great overview. Thank you so much for all of those details. And I would love to get a little bit further into the digitalization that you noted, both as a trend and an aspect of the strategy that you articulated as well. Talk a bit more about the form that's taking and some of the ideas that you and the team are implementing to leverage that trend that you see as sacrosanct and paramount as you look to the future.
So, Peter, for us, digital transformation is about rethinking the business from the point of view of our customers. So it's about how we create value for our customers in everything that we do for them and with them. So in that sense, along with the rest of the leaders in the company, rest of the teams in the company, we have 3 key focus areas for digital. First and foremost is about digitalizing the customer experience. And like I mentioned earlier, we have both B2B and B2C customers. So regardless of the type of customer, how do we make sure that we give them the best experience possible, whether it is a retailer, whether it's an agent, whether it is an end consumer who buys our products. They have to feel that interacting with us, understanding our products, learning, in some cases quoting, pricing, billing, and of course, up to the point of delivery, and ensuring that the quality of the product that reaches them. How do we make sure that we work in the best way possible through the right interfaces to make sure that we provide the right information? The second part of what we do is about digitalizing the processes for us. And these processes, of course, include all the company operational processes, but also manufacturing, supply chain, and those kind of, the operational processes. Now, as you know, digitalization fundamentally works best when we have standards and efficient processes and straight through, etc. And then, of course, proper data management. So this second leg more or less focuses on that. But it's also very important in meeting the customer needs as well. The third is about digitalizing offers. So here what we mean to do is, as you know, digitalization is not just about digitalizing internally, but it's also about new trends, new opportunities, new adjacencies that are going on in the market, how we can make sure that we are leading in that thought process. Of course, in many cases, also co-innovating, working with our business partners who are actually facing customers on a daily basis, and then working towards that. Now, then, to enable these three legs, of course, we need to have the right culture, because digitalization is not just about technology. It's also a lot about cultural change, mindset shift. So how do we have the right culture? How do we make sure that we have the right data, right technology foundations? But for me, for my team, I think the core raw material that we have is talent. So how do we make sure that we have the best people possible as part of the team?
Let's double click on that last part. Fascinating one that is the right culture and having the core raw material of talent. You mentioned how global your business is, and I'm curious, how have you thought about the culture you wish to foster and the talent you hope to help drive that forward?
Yeah. So for us, right, again, to be successful in this ever-changing world is to be agile as an organization, agile as a team. So for us, I think the first part of that culture is that agile mindset. How do we ensure that we have that agile mindset? But again, we take it beyond that culture from the top layer into the enabling portions of that. So what makes you agile? Of course, to be agile, you need to be able to make quick decisions. To be able to make quick decisions, you need to have proper insights. To have the proper insights, you need to have the right set of data. So we kind of look at it as the culture at the top, and then the enablers that drive that kind of culture and take it to the next level. The second part of it is knowing that we are limited by what we know. The world is always changing around us, outside of us. So then for us, building talent in that sense is also about bringing in leaders in one sense, who brings us a lot of insights and experience from the outside world, but also hiring a lot of youngsters, new blood who comes in and who drives collectively together the end state that we look forward for. So like I said, today I'm here in Bangalore. The reason being that we've hired quite a few young talent right out of university, and we are going through an orchestrated training program, bringing them up to date with the type of business we are, what we do, etc. Plus, core technical skills, bringing them all up to a same level of knowledge as much as possible, so that they can go and drive the outcomes that we look for here.
That's really great. And you also noted the digitalizing offers and co-innovating with business partners, finding new means of doing so. Can you talk a bit about that method a little bit to a greater extent as well? A fascinating insight that you offered there.
Sure. So fundamentally, what happens is that when our business decides that, or we see an opportunity ourselves, it can be from outside in as well as inside out, right? So what usually happens is that, we sit around, we decide what's the best way to capture that opportunity. I'll give an example. One of the coolest things that we are doing is 3D printed lamps, as we went to market with. Now, to enable 3D printing, it is as much a technology job as much as a business job as well, right? So how do you ensure that then we work together, people who face the market, who face the customers, who find opportunities, along with people in the technology, digital teams, to make sure that we have all the right set of capabilities coming together, including the printers, including the schedulers, including management of these things across the globe to make sure that we put it right across.
Yeah, really fascinating. I appreciate you sharing that insight as well. You have mentioned across multiple aspects of our conversation the sanctity of customer experience and finding ways to enhance digital aspects of that customer experience. I wonder if you could talk about how that has evolved, and perhaps to some extent also how that's been, demand has shifted and expectations shifted as a result of the pandemic, when so many of us, of course, also began to do so much more digitally by necessity. Offer some thoughts there, if you would.
Yeah, so we feel that the customer expectation is constantly evolving, right? Because as you know, this is one area where a lot of new innovations are coming in from. So what was an innovation 2 years ago is table stakes today, right? So how do we keep up in that market? Now, remember, we not just have a business to consumer or direct to consumer environment, we also have a B2B environment that we deal with. So our customers include both the end consumers as well as our B2B customers. Now, for a B2C, it's about the online channels, the information that we provide to those channels, etc. Right? So, which is a little bit more easier if the end channel is controlled by us. So, if it's a website, if it's an app, etc. Right? Those things work easier. But then, of course, if it is a B2C through another partner, then of course we have to work with them to ensure that we integrate properly into their ecosystem so that they can provide the right set of information back to our potential customers through their channel, right? Which is a little bit more complicated because then you get into data syndication challenges and presentation challenges and some of the other things. But then we come to the third aspect, which is about the true B2B kind of customers, right? In this scenario, these are, for example, in the US, we mostly sell through agents. Now, we also have other personas that we deal with, but predominantly it's agents that actually bring us projects, because we not just sell off-the-shelf products, we also have specific custom designed, configured, engineered products as well, right? So in that scenario, it is also a lot about back and forth. So it's not just about buying and selling. In some cases, it is about configuring, designing. So quite a bit, Peter. So in this sense, when I talk about being a customer-centric organization, it is not just about providing the right set of information, but in many cases, it's also about providing engineering capabilities, design capabilities, etc., beyond what we normally talk in an e-commerce environment.
And given the fact that yours is an organization that is so global, you noted that you are across 70 countries. How does your technology organization and digital organizations, how do they reflect that global nature? Are they spread across the world as well?
Yes, we are spread across the world, but we also have more or less a hub strategy. The hub strategy is that we have a few core locations. So we have one in Eindhoven, which is of course the birthplace of Philips, which is where of course Signify was born as well. Then we have a large campus in Bangalore, India, where we have a lot of the technology folks. Then we have quite a few folks sitting out in the US. But then there are also many satellite locations like Mexico, like Canada, like China, Australia, etc. Right? So I can keep on Spain, I can keep on rambling, Poland. But then the strategy is that for folks who are driving outcomes for the business, dealing with customers, you have to sit close to people who deal with customers. So all those roles literally sit, co-locate with the businesses. Now, being a fulfillment organization also, we have quite a bit of back office kind of work that we do, including IT operations, including sometimes waterfall development, etc., that you can do from a collective group location outside. So those work will happen in these hubs that I mentioned, Peter. But the other ones would be in market-facing locations. So, for example, in India, our market leaders are sitting in New Delhi. So we have our folks who would be facing with the business aligned to those folks sitting in New Delhi.
Very interesting. Speaking of global teams, you have personally worked across the world in places like India, Japan, Singapore. the US in multiple locations, of course, the Netherlands now, among other places, perhaps. I wonder, how do you acclimate yourself to a new environment, company, country, culture when you make these significant changes across your career?
Yeah, no, it's a very interesting question, and I really don't know the answer to that, right? Maybe because of my upbringing, I grew up also across many different countries as a child because my parents were teaching in different countries as well. So we grew up in an environment where we felt that we could be part of any culture that you can be in. But the downside to that is, I am a foreigner in pretty much every place that I am in, right? So that is the other challenge that I face. But honestly, culture-wise, I feel that fundamentally in corporates, in organizations like ours, the culture of the organization always drives our behaviors, the people around us, etc. Right. So in that sense, I never really felt out of place in any country that I'm in. But then, of course, as you know, the weekends or when you do things outside, again, because of the good ecosystem that you have, predominantly through the companies that you work for or through your personal network, I've never really felt out of place in any location, Peter, so far.
It's a true citizen of the world, to say the least. You mentioned it in your response as you're describing digitalizing offers, that your team focuses on new trends, new opportunities, adjacencies. I wonder, as you look to the future, say a couple of years out, what trends particularly excite you? What are some of the things that are making their way onto your roadmap?
Yeah, it's quite interesting, right? And lighting as an industry right now is literally going through a major transformation. As you know, a few years ago, it was purely conventional lighting, incandescent bulbs, etc., which moved on to LEDs and now connected LEDs. Now that connected LEDs can be with sensors that can do pretty much anything, right? So it would be a light can do pretty much what your mobile phone can do. So in that sense, then it's the power of the software starts coming in, power of data starts coming in. So there's a lot of thinking, experimentation, innovation that goes around beyond the physical products, but the data that we can capture, and then the insights that can be derived from that, and the business models that it can create, and then of course, the new offers that you can bring in. So there's quite a bit of things, Peter. Some of them are in works, but then simple one is, which we already have an offer called Interact, a global leading platform for our professional segment, where all the lights are connected to this platform, and this platform gives you a lot of lighting efficiency inputs, controls, etc. Right. So then in that sense, then you're like you're actually operating your light as a platform which gives you insights into other things, including you could get your occupancy levels, safety, provide a lot of safety features. I can keep talking about it, right? But there's a lot of those kind of things that you can do. Philips Hue is one of our leading direct-to-consumer brands, where you can see that using the mobile apps and the technology platforms, you can really have an amazing experience of the light products that we sell at our home, just like a professional would. So there are a lot of things there, Peter. So the way we look at light today is not as the unit that gives you brightness, but how do you use that brightness and that tool and that product, the data that you capture from it, to do many different things, many additional things, which makes life better for all the people around us.
Very interesting. I also wanted to ask you, you were somebody who has been a chief information officer, not only at Signify, including your digital responsibilities, but at Vodafone, at GE, at Nissan. You had roles of consequence for 7 years at Citi as well. As someone who has been a member of the C-suite for a considerable time now, I wonder, as you reflect on your career, what have been some of the difference makers along the way? What decisions did you make, or what have been sort of the methods used that you might offer as advice to others who might wish to follow in your footsteps?
Peter, I think it all starts with a bunch of very good people who gave me the right opportunities. They were willing to take risk on me. So, for example, talking about GE, Jamie hired me to the organization. Jim gave me the global role that I had.
Jamie Miller, Jim Fowler.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they took risk on me, right? Or my first CIO job, somebody took a chance on me, took a risk on me, right? So to me, it all starts with that, right? Because regardless of who you are, what you think you can do, unless and otherwise you have those kind of good people around you, you will never be able to get the right opportunity. Once you have that opportunity, then it's about having some of those traits that you have, right? And some of the traits that I kind of keep polishing, and you probably recognize some of this from talking to some of my other peers, because as you know, I also come from some of these names that you're very familiar with. For example, curiosity. How do you keep learning your business? How do you keep learning new businesses? How do you understand how things work? uh, how do you realize how your company makes money, right? Until and otherwise that, you cannot be a difference maker in any place that you are in. But I'm also ambitious. I'm also ambitious to the level that I'm willing to take risks. I'm willing to relocate. I'm willing to travel, take a new industry role, etc., right, for the right opportunity. But it also means that I take risk, but I balance it with the right set of responsibility, because I also don't want to be in a scenario where you take uncalculated risks and then you become the casualty of that, right? But also being responsible means that we protect not just us, but also the people around us who trust us, who are part of our system. So in that sense, that's another trait that I keep up with me. But I think for me, something that I really feel is, empathy is what really makes a difference in all of us, right? How can we correlate ourselves? But also, as we move along, as we move ahead, how do we bring others along with us, right? How do we bring the broader society along with us? So I think, for me, when I look at my career, it's a bunch of things, that some was brought by me, but a lot of it was brought by the rest of the things around me and people around me.
What a great reflection that is, Tony. I really appreciate you offering that. Well, Tony Thomas, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been great to learn from you the remarkable work that you and your team are doing at Signify, but the broader career arc of yours that is also of consequence as well. Thank you so much for spending time with me.
Thank you, Peter. Very nice to talk to you.